All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to the PHLpreK exhibits info session for FY 2025. We are really excited to be able to start the new school year with you all. Hard to believe it's here already. So I'm Carrie Lee. I'm the contracts manager with the PHLpreK intermediary at PHMC. Also helping me lead you through this presentation is going to be Theo Margulies and Brittany Maines, our contract coordinators. So please have your phones and microphones muted. You can type any questions into the chat box. We will have opportunities to answer questions along the way and get to as many as we can. This presentation will be recorded, and the recording and the slides, as well as all of the links to resources, will be in the weekly provider update. For our agenda today, we'll go over expectations around contract exhibits and what you'll need to submit for us to be able to prepare your PHLpreK contract. We'll go over the required policies and other documents needed to submit. Plus, we'll do a demo of the online submission form. We'll show info about waivers related to curriculum, outcomes assessment, and developmental screenings. Also talk through remote learning and staff qualifications, and then finish up with resources and next steps. So all of these items have due dates that you need to adhere to for timely review and processing, so we can get your PHLpreK contracts out on time. Now, just a little bit about PHMC as the intermediary. Most of you should be familiar with this, but just as a reminder, PHMC supports implementation of the PHLpreK system, including doing things like coordinating provider contracting and monthly processing of payment to providers, developing compliance monitoring protocols for the system, communicating contract deliverables, expectations, and helping providers achieve those goals, overseeing the enrollment process, and collecting provider and child level data for analysis and reporting. Our goals are to provide high quality provider services. So if you have any questions, please reach out to your provider service specialist. They are there to help you. They will be holding office hours about the exhibits and the required policies. So you can ask any questions you need, or you can contact them directly. Our goals are also around providing accurate and timely enrollment-based payment, making recommendations for system growth and improvement based on data, referring system supports based on provider performance, goals, and priorities, and then also providing clear definition of contracts expectations. And we will have contract training as well at the end of July that will be coming out in the weekly provider update as well, those dates. So now I will pass it on to the Spark Quality Support Center to tell you a little bit about their services.
Thank you, Carrie. There you go. Well, good morning, everyone. Hello, returning providers, racers. Hello, returning providers, and welcome new providers. Excited for a new year with the PHLpreK program. I'm Rex. I'm the Deputy Director of Content and Learning Strategy with the Spark Quality Support Center, or Spark QSC for short. The Spark QSC is responsible for delivering high quality support services directly to providers participating in the City of Philadelphia's PHLpreK program. In the chat, I'll drop our website for folks to explore it as I share more about what we do. So Spark QSC, there's various ways where you can engage with us. I'd like to say that there's numerous points of access. And Spark QSC, as the quality support arm, has a lot of different team members and folks that are available to support you when we're thinking about the improving and sustaining of quality of the PHLpreK programs that that all of you are part of. First, we have our team of specialists, our content experts. Each of those individuals are experts in a variety of content area fields like early childhood education, business, family and community engagement, health, and equity and inclusion. They're also the team that provides, develops, and implements our professional development opportunities and facilitate those opportunities. So for any of you who've engaged with our trainings, you've engaged with our specialists. And they also work hand in hand with our coaching team to provide any specialized consulting as we receive any quality support cases that come our way. We also have a team of PHLpreK coaches. Our coaches support providers to any level of their choosing. They can provide one-on-one coaching, provide assessments or tools, and otherwise can really just act as that concierge or a guide for you as providers to the resources that you need. Then they can also be treated as your go-to resource. And otherwise, there's lots of resources that the coaches can direct you to that you can utilize that best suit your needs. We also have our Knowledge Center, and our Knowledge Center is our online library of key information, tools, resources, even our trainings. So, and that is an online portal that you can utilize any time of the day of the week. Lots of different topics of resources that you can utilize. And then we have our help desk. Our help desk is our live person who can also provide guidance if you don't know where to start, don't know where to begin. Our help desk that is housed within our Knowledge Center, you can go to them to engage with resources that you're looking for, any guidance that you need, that you have. There's ways you can engage with our help desk either through the phone hotline or a live chat feature on the Knowledge Center. And the help desk is available during those Monday through Fridays, 9 to 5 hours. And lastly, our events calendar. And our events calendar is also housed within our Knowledge Center, and that's where you can find all of the Spark Hawaii Support Center's professional development opportunities, whether that's trainings, professional learning circles, community practices, and trainings that are available either in person or virtual. Again, those are trainings developed by our specialist team, and those, when you go to event calendar, I'll explain more later of how to register for them. There's some other exciting initiatives that we have to roll out, and so stay to the end so then you can hear what those new initiatives are. Thank you, Carrie.
Thanks, Rex. And you will be hearing from Rex again towards the end of this presentation about in the resources section. Okay, so let's get started. We'll now provide an overview of exhibits and that process. So exhibits are documents that you'll need to complete to prepare your PHLpreK contract. These are going to be due on July 30th. Providers will need to submit exhibits for each of their PHLpreK sites. We know this can be a lot of information in this presentation, so we've tried to put together some checklists and guides to be able to help you and have like sort of consolidate all the information that you'll need. So we do have a contract document collection checklist and also guidelines that lays out the expectations for each exhibit, and then also includes samples and templates as well. So we'll drop those links in the chat now and also pull them up really briefly to give you an idea what they look like. So this is the contract document collection checklist. So as you can see, all the contract exhibits are named at the top. It has the links to templates there or any other resources that you might need to be able to help you complete those exhibits. And then as we scroll down, has like the required policies that will need to be submitted, and then other documents as well. So again, this will be sent out. There's a link there in the chat. Also will be sent out in the weekly provider update along with the recording and slides from this presentation. And to the guidelines. So this just gives a little more details about each exhibit. What needs to be included in each exhibit. And we will go over in the next few slides, we'll go over all the items that, each exhibit, what it is, and all the items that need to be included in it. Okay. So next, this is mainly for returning providers. There are some changes in the process from last year to this year. There are only going to be 6 exhibits that will be included in your contract, and we'll tell you which ones those are in the next slide. All other required policies and other documents are going to be due at the same time as exhibits, but won't be included in your PHLpreK contract. And they're also going to be reviewed after you get your PHLpreK contract, after that's completed and signed by you. You might remember last year that we allowed you to attest that your policies hadn't changed, and then you could just use previous versions. However, all documents need to be uploaded this year. We want to just make sure providers are reviewing and updating your policies regularly. And there were also some changes this year, like around enrollment and the launch of free Philly pre-K. So we just want to make sure everyone's updating their policies to really reflect those changes. So here's a quick list of all of the exhibits that will need to be turned in and will be included in your PHLpreK contract. We'll give a short list here and then go over each one in detail a little bit more in the next few slides. So first is the line item budget. Next is you need to submit a copy of your Pennsylvania DHS license or your Department of Education license if that's applicable. You need to complete insurance documentation, have a program calendar, program daily schedule, and then also complete the attestation for the 21st century minimum wage and benefits. Here are the required policies that need to be submitted. So you'll need to have an attendance policy, an enrollment and waitlist policy, family grievance policy, and also a suspension and expulsion policy. And to assist providers in developing these policies, we drafted a PHLpreK policy guidance workbook. It includes specifics you need to align to PHLpreK expectations, samples, templates, and more. It sort of consolidates some of the templates and samples we had last year into one document. So we'll drop that into the chat now so you can get an idea what that looks like, and then also pull it up on the screen as well now. So again, the required policies are going to need to be submitted at the same time as exhibits, but will be reviewed after you get your PHLpreK contract. So here is the policy guidance workbook. This is the introduction page. This gives you an idea of like what all the policies are that are included here. The setup is similar for each policy, provides an opportunity for things to think about, opportunity for you to really tailor your policy to your organization, gives an idea of what expectations for PHLpreK are, and then gives you space to jot down if there's things specific to your program mission and vision, to be able to add those to your policy. Then it also includes example policies that we put together, and then a template as well for you to be able to use to develop your own policy if we want. Okay, so some other documents that need to be submitted as well. So we have a kindergarten transition plan template. You are able to use the PHLpreK template again, like you were able to check off last year that you're using the PHLpreK template. You will also have the opportunity to upload your own template if you would like to. All providers also need to complete the subcontractor questionnaire form. This will ask questions around business status and workforce diversity. Providers that are star 1 or 2 will need to complete a star 3 action plan and waiver. And then if you have sign in and sign out procedures, we're also asking you to upload this if it's available. For fiscal documents, this is mainly for new providers. This is to be able to set up your direct deposit. Your provider service specialist should have already reached out to you, and hopefully you've been able to complete these. If not, please get them in as soon as possible. And if you're a returning provider, you only need to complete these fiscal documents if you are changing your bank account information. Exhibits and the required policies and other documents need to be submitted through the online submission form. We'll do a demo of that in just a little bit, but we also have a video tutorial available that will be, the link will be in the follow-up materials. Again, the submission deadline for everything is July 30th, 2024, but please start preparing your documents now. You can turn them in as you complete them. You don't have to be done with everything to be able to turn them in. It's really helpful to turn it in before the deadline, just in case you need revisions. So your contract may be delayed if you turn it in like towards the end, after the deadline, and then you need revisions to happen. So your contract may be delayed. This is a quick overview of what happens after you submit your documents. So again, submit them before July 30th. Your provider service specialist will review your exhibits first and then follow up if needed, if your exhibits need to be revised and resubmitted. All exhibits will hopefully be approved in August, and we'll send you your PHLpreK contract for signature. Please review this and save a copy. After that's done, then your provider service specialist will review your policies and other documents. If significant revisions are needed to your policies, a Spark referral will be made. We know these policies will be shared probably at the beginning of the year with families. So just make sure if there's any revisions that are needed to your policies that you're updating, you're providing that revised version to families as well. Now I will pass it to Theo to take you through this next section.
Thanks, Carrie. So now we're going to go over some overall tips and then some tips specific to each exhibit. So please use the correct title for the city, which is the Office of Children and Families, or OCF. And documents need to be uploaded in Word, PDF, or Excel format, and no other formats will be accepted. So the first exhibit is your line item budget. A line item budget projects how you will spend city funding on allowable expenses. You will be expected to report on how your actual expenses compare to your budget at mid-year and year end. There are instructions and a video tutorial available, and those are both linked right here on this slide. The template was adjusted from last year. The line item budget and expense reporting forms are now combined. And we also changed several line items for clarity and developed a resource to provide guidance and examples of costs that may be under each line item. And the resource link is in the checklist, and it's also here on this slide. And I'm going to show you what the resource looks like now. So here's the expense line item resource. On the left column, it lists the different expenses. So the expenses are split into 4 categories, and then under each category is the title of the line item. And then in the next column are definitions and examples of what could be in each category, in each line item. This is not an exhaustive list. We just thought it would be helpful to give some examples. But you can add things that are not on this list if they align with the expense definition. So please complete the template according to your site type. There are center and family versions available, and if you're a group, you will complete the center template. You'll complete the top portion of the form, including site name, the name of the person completing the form, and the submission date. You'll complete the slot allocation and total budget amount based on your notice of awards. Please make sure that the total award amount matches the total line items. And any budgeted amount that is outside of suggested ranges needs sufficient detailed justification. If it is outside the range, please be specific in explaining why. So this is the line item budget. This is the center template, and there is also a family template available as well. So at the top is the site name, and this is a drop down. So you will click the drop down and pick your site name. You'll include the name of the person completing the form, the date, and then your total budget amount and your total number of slots. In column A is the budget expenditures. So it's split up into categories. There's program staff expenses, program other expenses, occupancy expenses, and other expenses. And then under each is the line items. In column B, you will put the budget amount for each line item. And as I said before, please make sure that this total in column B, the total down here, matches your total budget amount. Column C will automatically populate based on the amount that you put into the budget amount column. And then column D is the allowable range for each line item. So in column E, you will need a detailed justification if the percentage in column C is higher or lower than the allowable range in column D. The change that we made from last year is that we combined the line item budget template with the expense report template. So you'll see the next tab is the expense report summary page, and what you put in column B as your budget amount will automatically populate in column B on your expense report.
Sending this out, like combining these forms also allows you the opportunity to start tracking your expenses immediately and not waiting. So every provider needs to submit a mid-year expense report. So, you know, after your line item budget is approved, you can start tracking those expenses.
And so this is just kind of a sample of what the line item budget looks like. So the next exhibit is your DHS license. You need to submit your current DHS license or Department of Education license if applicable. Please make sure that your license is not expired. We understand that some providers might have a license that is expired for reasons outside of your control. If it is expired, please submit what you have and your provider service specialist will follow up with you. When your license is no longer expired, we just ask that you submit an updated license to us so that we can put it in your file.
Okay, so insurance. So all providers need to have insurance. This protects your business from unexpected costs, which could come from accidents, damages, natural disasters, or lawsuits. PHLpreK is a city-funded program, and all city contractors are required to have the appropriate level of insurance that's applicable to your business. Just a reminder, when you submit your insurance, we only need that insurance certificate and not the full policy. So providers should focus on the appropriate level of insurance for the items on this slide. So they are general liability. This is base coverage needed for all providers. Workers' compensation. This is coverage needed for businesses with employees in Pennsylvania. This may be waived if the provider is the sole employee. Auto insurance. So if there's a few stipulations here. So if you rent a vehicle and you're driving, you need the appropriate level of auto insurance. If you're taking children on SEPTA or chartering a bus, you do not need insurance. You just need, if you intend to hire a charter company though, just make sure that they have the appropriate level of insurance. And then please complete the auto attestation if you're not transporting children. So these three items on the slide are the insurance that you will need. You no longer need to have professional liability insurance and fidelity bond or criminal insurance. So just a few other things on insurance. Make sure you're referencing Article 7. That is linked in the checklist as well. That you're listing PHMC and the city on the insurance, and our information is on the right hand of this slide. Make sure the insurance has not expired, especially workers' compensation. Make sure you have the adequate coverage for each required insurance component. Make sure you're listing each location on the insurance document if coverage is for the legal entity.
So next is the program calendar. So providers should schedule a minimum of 180 days of PHLpreK services between August 26, 2024 and June 30th, 2025 to align with the school district. The first day of school may begin before September 1st. However, the first invoicing period will be for September. Early dismissal days do not count towards the 180 days. And additionally, snow days or provider scheduled cancellations must be made up to ensure the full number of 180 days is met. So this is an example of a PHLpreK program calendar, excuse me. It includes the 180 days. It represents a start date of August 26, 2024, which aligns with the School District of Philadelphia start date. And an ending date of June 6, 2025. The calendar clearly identifies a start date, an end date, and closing days. And you should make sure that you leave an adequate amount of wiggle room to allot for emergencies or unscheduled closings to ensure that the 180 days are still met within those date parameters. So the next exhibit is the daily schedule. So for the daily schedule, there should be 5.5 hours per day of developmentally appropriate instructional time in each PHL pre-K day. This should include at least 60 minutes of physical activity. What's not included in the 5.5 hours is arrival and departure times and nap time. If any part of the PHL pre-K day occurs before 7:30 a.m. or after 4:30 p.m., a written request must be submitted to PHMC for approval by OCF prior to the classroom opening. Providers can send that request to PHLpreK@phmc.org and inform your provider service specialist. So here's an example of what a schedule might look like. You can see that it includes 5.5 hours and that nap time and arrival and dismissal times is not included. So next is the 21st century minimum wage benefit. Providers must comply with the 21st century minimum wage benefit for PHL pre-K staff. This will increase to $16.35 this year. For more information on this benefit, you should review the code and notification from the city, and that is linked here, and it is also on the checklist. Exemptions include agencies with 5 or fewer employees and nonprofits with a contract award of less than $100,000. If unable to meet the requirement, you should request a temporary waiver, which is submitted directly to the city for approval. So now we're going to break if anybody has any questions.
Okay, so I did see one about the school year, so we wanted to clarify, right? So your PHL pre-K service can be between August 26th, 2024 to June 30th, 2025. It does not have to start in August. We just wanted to allow that opportunity because that's the August 26th is when the school district of Philadelphia starts. So we just wanted to allow people to be able to start then if they wanted to. Someone is asking about showing the schedule example again. Yeah, would you be able to pull it up and go run through that again?
Yeah, so this is the schedule. It includes the 5.5 hours and nap time and arrival and dismissal time are not included in the 5.5 hours.
And I believe the early dismissal days are not included because they don't usually make the 5.5 hours. The per child slot rate is similar to last year. It's $1,000. Is nap time required? I don't think it is required within the 5.5 hours. Okay, let's move on. And then keep putting your questions in the chat box and we can continue to get to as many as we can.
All right, required policies. So we'll now review the required policies, their purposes, and what needs to be included in each submission. So as we talked about previously, the new implement of the PHL pre-K policy guidance workbook. So to start, this is a shift for FY25, as all required policies, they'll still be due at the time of exhibits, which is July 30th again. However, they will not be reviewed until the beginning of the school year. And because this is now going to be a compliance activity. As we showed you in the beginning of this presentation, the PHL pre-K policy guidance workbook, it was created to provide guidance to US providers to help with the development of your policies to align with PHLpreK requirements and expectations. This workbook, it does include samples and templates to help guide you throughout. And again, this purpose, we want to make sure you as providers take ownership and really tailor your policies, not just to the PHLpreK guidelines, but to your individual facility as well. So the first policy we'll discuss is the attendance policy. And the attendance policy helps to establish clear procedures and expectations for your enrolled children along with their families around daily attendance. The importance of regular attendance is to ensure that each child receives optimal learning experience for preschool along with receiving an adequate program dosage. So additionally, your policy should reference some of the following. The attendance policy should identify a daily process for your parents and guardians to sign in and out their children. The policy should state that PHLpreK enrolled children should begin in the program within 7 days after enrollment is approved here at PHMC. The policy will outline the process that families should use to notify your center if their child is to be absent. There needs to be an adherence to the Center for Disease Control, the Office of Child Development and Early Learning, the City of Philadelphia, and Caring for Our Children, Guidance to Health-Related Exclusions. The policy will describe your program's intent to deliver and document the supports that remediate chronic and consecutive absence issues prior to the child being withdrawn from your program. A child who is absent for 30 days or more without prior approval from the program director or PHLpreK intermediary may be discharged and placed on a wait list if interested. And they may be re-enrolled if a slot does become available. If you as a provider have a child that has been absent for 30 days, they should communicate to your provider service specialist so it can be reviewed. As PHMC is notified of any chronic or extended absences, and this is included if it's excused or not, or if it's excused or not excused. So we can be reviewed by OCF and PHMC on a case-by-case basis to then determine if the child should then be discharged. So the next policy is the enrollment and waitlist policy. And this policy offers a first opportunity to introduce your families to your program's philosophy and intake policies. It sets the tone for your relationship with families while providing an opportunity to obtain initial and necessary information, forms, and documentation.
So there were several changes from FY24 to FY25 around enrollment that we wanted to highlight. First, as you all know from the enrollment trainings, the Free Philly Pre-K launched that website, and providers should be encouraging families to complete online applications. There were also some changes in eligibility that you heard at the enrollment trainings. These are exactly the same as they provided there. So what's the same is children must be 3 or 4-year-old by September 1st, 2024 and live in Philadelphia. PHLpreK seats may be offered to newly enrolling children and children aging into the program. These bolded bullets used to be considered a conversion, are not anymore. So what's different is those bullets in bold. So PHLpreK funds may be used to convert a child from subsidy or private pay when they become age eligible for PHLpreK. Children who receive pre-K services through subsidy or private pay may be offered a PHLpreK seat when they become age eligible. And PHLpreK seats may be offered to a family who loses eligibility status for federal or state funding. So just make sure, do a review of your policy if you are a returning provider, that any references to these items are updated in your policy.
Thank you, Carrie. So as Carrie discussed some of the changes, I want to just continue with some of the information and key points that you do need to have in your enrollment and waitlist policy. This policy outlines your eligibility requirements, and this includes the age and residence. This policy will need to clearly identify that PHLpreK is a free program and does not require any additional fees associated with enrollment. This policy will need to clearly outline your program's process and priority for enrollment. The enrollment and waitlist policy will also discuss additional funding and or wraparound care options as they are needed by families. And it should also explain the priority of waitlisted applicants and follows the order in which they received. And additionally, the enrollment and waitlist policy should also state other additional documentation that may be needed prior to the child's start in the program to meet any DHS license requirements such as health assessments, immunizations, or emergency contact information. So our next policy is the family grievance policy, and this helps to ensure that families' grievances are addressed with respect and fairness and are resolved in a consistent and timely manner. This policy should include the appropriate communication method for families to document their grievances. May this be email or a letter, whatever format your program does agree to accept. It should also identify the steps a parent or guardian should follow to resolve any issues or concerns they may have with the program, any issues they may have with staff, or to resolve a specific incident. This policy should identify the program staff members that will receive the grievances from the families and a timeline in which they will be resolved. And lastly, this policy should include strategies that your program will use to ensure that the confidentiality of the families filing the grievance is met with fairness and respect for all. So our next policy is the suspension and expulsion policy. And the purpose of this policy is to ensure that children with varying abilities have and maintain access to a high quality early learning program that meets their needs. You as providers are not permitted to suspend or expel an enrolled child. Instead, you will need to work to develop an intervention or transition plan that engages the family and supports the well-being of the school readiness by documenting their behaviors and strategies to support them and their family. If you, as a provider, do determine that an enrolled child possesses a risk for safety or the well-being of the children or staff, you will need to communicate your concern to PHMC, as your first point of contact would be your provider service specialist. There is a new sample available in the PHLpreK policy guidance workbook, and if you need additional support developing your suspension and expulsion policy, Spark Quality Support Center can assist you. There is more information on Spark supports that will be provided at the end of this presentation as well. So the suspension policy should also state specifically that your program will not independently suspend or expel an enrolled child. It needs to define timelines for completing the ASQ, SE, as well as when sharing those results will be available with the family. The suspension policy should detail a data tracking system for incidents and occurrences, such as behavior reports, as well as detailed observation. It needs to demonstrate that the families will be engaged throughout this process as well. And additionally, the suspension policy should demonstrate that you as a provider will request appropriate PHLpreK supports, including coaching, ECMH consultation, and or family navigation as needed. And lastly, that your policy should reference the partnership with us as your intermediary and OCF to develop a transition plan and identify any alternate placement for your children. We have also provided some resources for you as providers to reference as you construct this policy. Along with these resources, it includes the opt-out implementation and support guidelines. And within those guidelines, it has the opt-out definitions of suspension and expulsion, as you can see on the screen. And again, just to remind you all, the PHLpreK policy guidance workbook is a great reference to assist you as providers with the construction of all of these policies.
Okay, so we had some questions in the chat. So first, is a question about insurance. So providers should focus on getting general liability insurance, workers' compensation, and auto insurance as applicable. You're no longer needed to get professional liability insurance and fidelity bond or criminal insurance. Another question about fiscal expectations. So the fiscal expectations are similar to last year. The threshold for a Yellow Book audit is still the same at $500,000 in PHLpreK funding by legal entity. For it's $750,000 for a federal. If you get $750,000 or more in federal funding, you need a federal single audit. There were some questions that Jennifer, our enrollment manager, helped answer. They must be absent for 30 consecutive days to qualify for disenrollment. So if you have a child that has been absent for 30 consecutive days, please reach out to PHLpreK before discharging that child. Our family engagement coordinator can help support with next steps. And some concerns about the wording around you cannot suspend a child. For the full policy requirements, you can check out the PHLpreK policy guidance workbook. It has all of those requirements there. These slides will also be sent out in the weekly provider update, and you can take a look at that as well. Another question, children who receive ELRC subsidy can apply for PHLpreK. Yes, children who receive ELRC subsidy can apply. So just repeating the information about the federal single audit. The fiscal expectations are exactly the same as last year. So if your organization gets $750,000 in federal funding, then your organization is required to do a federal single audit. Yes, you would need to add PHMC and the city to the insurance, just like last year. We can put the workbook in the chat again, so you can see those. We do have a family engagement coordinator, Medea Pruitt. You can email PHLpreK to be connected to her for any support with chronic absences. Okay, I think we got to most of the questions now. Why don't we keep on moving, but please keep on adding your questions to the chat. Okay, so now I will go over the other documents that need to be submitted. So first is the kindergarten transition plan. So kindergarten transition plans help to promote engagement and understanding of educational options for families with children that are aging into kindergarten. These plans will document activities throughout the program year that will support transition for the families into kindergarten. So here's a snapshot on the left-hand side. This is the PHLpreK kindergarten transition template. It's also linked in the checklist as well. For all providers, you can check off that you're using the PHLpreK template. If you would like to upload your own, you're certainly allowed to be able to do that as well. But if you do upload your own, we just want to make sure it includes the following things. So it has the date of the plan creation, the child's name, parent and guardian, and staff completing the plan. It includes a person responsible for activities, target dates, and completion dates for the tasks or responsibilities. And please remember to include the required deadlines and childcare data entry information. And that you can take a look at the sample, and that has all that information. Some of the other documents to upload. So all providers need to submit the subcontractor questionnaire. Here's a snapshot of what it looks like. You can download that from the checklist. This questionnaire details questions around business status and workforce diversity. We're also asking for sign sign in and sign out procedures if you have one available. So these are going to be reviewed by your provider service specialist to ensure that you're able to produce daily sign in and sign out sheets quarterly. And if one isn't available or your procedure needs revisions, Spark referrals may be made. So this is applicable to star 1 or 2 providers. You'll need to complete the star 3 waiver and action plan. Growth providers will also need to reach a star 3 status in the timeline recommended by PHMC and approved by OCF. And then you'll also be utilizing Spark Quality Support Center and ELRC coaches for support. So again, these fiscal documents are required for new providers to set up direct deposit. You'll need to turn in an ACH credit authorization form that's linked in the checklist, a copy of voided check or letter from the bank for account verification, and also the W-9 form. So this is for returning providers. You only need to turn this in if you are changing your bank account information. So this is just a consolidated of the resources that we shared at the beginning of this presentation. So we have available that contract document checklist, the exhibit guidelines, and also the PHLpreK policy guidance workbook. Okay, so now we're going to go into the demoing the online submission form.
Okay, so when you click on the link, this is where it will take you. You can either log in or create an account. So if you have an account from last year, you can just log back in. If you don't remember your password, you can click lost password and it will prompt you to reset your password. If you don't have an account, you can create one right here. You'll just put in your email address, your name, the company name, and you will create a password and then click register. So once you log in, you will go to begin a new submission. So here's what the submission form looks like. Here's at the top a little description saying that it's used to submit exhibits to prepare your contract, that you can reference the checklist and guidelines when completing the exhibits, and that if we request a revision, please resubmit as soon as possible so we can get your contract to you as quickly as possible. And then it says the due date, which is July 30th. On the top right, there's a manage collaborators button. That is if you want to add an additional person or additional people to be able to edit the submission form. So if you click that button, and you can click add collaborator, and then you will put the person's name and email address, and that person will be able to edit the submission or upload documents as well. Only the primary collaborator will be allowed to submit it, so only you can submit the form, but anybody that you add as a collaborator will be able to edit or upload documents. So in the form, you will put the name of the person completing the form, your email address, your legal entity name, and your site name, and then your site address where children will be served. And you'll also put your childware site ID. This can be found in childware on your home dashboard. You'll also add the contract signatory information, so their name and email address. This is a person who's authorized to sign your PHLpreK contract. And the email address that you put here will be the email address that we use to send your contract to. So next are the exhibits. These exhibits are required and will be added into your contract. So you will be able to click which exhibit you would like to upload. And once you click here, then a place to upload it populates. So you'll just click choose file and you will be able to upload that exhibit. So for whichever one you want, you'll be able to upload it below. We also have a place to upload your certificate of insurance. I know last year some people had multiple insurance documents to upload. So we've added additional uploads for insurance. So you will use the certificate of insurance to upload your first insurance document. And then if you have additional insurance documents you would like to submit, you can upload them here. This is totally optional. But if you do have additional documents for insurance, you can click the different options and then it populates a place for you to upload those additional documents. If you do need to complete an automobile insurance attestation, you will upload it here. If you click where it says here, in another tab, the attestation populates, so you'll be able to fill this out, save it, and then upload it right here. And the same thing with the 21st century minimum wage attestation. You will click here to download it. It will open another tab, and then you can save it and upload it right here. Next are the required policies. So same thing with the exhibits. It lists the required policies. You will click which policy you would like to upload, and then there is a space for you to upload that policy. Next is other documents. So the kindergarten transition plan. You can either attest that you're using the PHLpreK kindergarten transition plan template. And so if you click that, you don't have to upload anything. And if you would like to use your own kindergarten transition plan template, you'll click that option and then you'll be able to upload your template right here. Next is the subcontractor questionnaire. So like the previous ones, you can click here to download it. And then once you've filled it out and saved it, you can upload it right here. And then we're also asking if you have a sign-in, sign-out policy for families and staff. If you say that you do have a policy, we ask that you upload it. And if you don't have a policy, then you don't have to do anything there. There's two buttons on the bottom right, save and then save and finalize. If you save your submission, that just saves it. It does not submit it. It does not send it to us. If you hit save and finalize, that does submit your submission form to us. You do not have to have everything completed in order to send it to us. If you are waiting for, let's say, an insurance policy, you can save and finalize, and we will review what you have submitted. So you do not have to wait until you have all of your policies and all of your exhibits completed in order to save and finalize it. So once you save and finalize it, you'll get an email that says that you've submitted it, and then you can go back in if you'd like to edit it. So once you've submitted a form to go back in to edit it, you will go on the left side to complete. And once you click that, you will see your submission. Under actions, you can view it or edit it. So if you just click view, you'll be able to view your submission. In order to edit it from this view field, you will have to click here to make edits in this yellow-orange header. So if you click to make edits, then you will be able to edit it from there. If you know that you want to edit it, you can click edit in action, and you will go in and you'll be able to edit it. If you do need to edit, or if you need to upload a new exhibit, let's say you uploaded your line item budget and we've requested revisions and you've revised it and you want to re-upload it, you do have to delete your current document that's uploaded. And so you'll just click here, you'll click this blue trash can that will allow you to delete it, and then you'll be able to re-upload or upload your revised version. If you are a legal entity that has multiple sites, you do need to submit a submission form for each site, but you can't copy your submission. So once you've completed one for one site, you can click copy, and that will make an exact copy of your submission. If you do use this feature, though, please just make sure that you are deleting or changing any information that is site specific. So for example, your line item budget or like your site name, that changes per site. So please just make sure that if you copy a submission, you do go back in and you edit it to make it correct for that site. If you do have any technical issues, or if you have any questions about the submission form, please email us, and we will be happy to answer any questions or to walk through the form with you.
There was a question about open water. I think they are able to access their documents from last year in their account. Is that right?
Yes, you should be able to. You should be able to see your previous submissions. And if you need something specific that you don't have access to, you can also email us and we can send it to you.
Yeah, and if you do have any questions on open water, the online submission form, you can send that to PHLpreK at phmc.org. You can also check in with your specialist and they can make sure that it gets to the right place. There was also a question just clarifying the fiscal expectations again. So they are exactly the same as last year. So $300,000 and above, you are required, or $300,000 and above, you receive that amount by legal entity of PHLpreK funding, then you are required to do an agreed upon procedure. So the auto attestation is also linked in the slides as well as in the online submission form.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is it for now. Okay, so we can go on to the next section of this presentation. And then I'll have Brittany start off with that.
Thank you. So now we'll transition to waivers, remote learning plans, and staff qualifications. So curriculum assessment and developmental screening. The requirements for PHLpreK include using creative curriculum, teaching strategy goal as your outcomes assessment, and for your developmental screening, ages and stages questionnaires, the 3rd edition, and ages and stages questionnaire, social emotional. All right, so waivers can be submitted to use as an alternative curriculum or tools. They must be submitted to PHMC and be approved by OCF. The link for you to share with is on the screen, but it'll also be provided in the weekly provider update as well. So for curriculum and assessment waivers, providers, you no longer need to participate in PHLpreK for a year in order to be eligible to submit a waiver. However, for the developmental screening, you do need to have participated in PHLpreK for at least a year to be eligible for that waiver. And once again, all these links will be available in the weekly provider update. Remote learning. So PHLpreK services are expected to be offered in person for FY25 and have a remote learning plan in preparation for any emergency closures. A program may not offer remote learning without an improved remote learning plan. If you do not offer remote learning during emergency closure, you may not bill for those closed days. Remote learning plans will again be required for approval by OCF prior to your program start. And all providers must confirm their plans for remote learning online. Again, that link will be provided in the weekly provider update. And you'll be able to either submit a new one, update your existing remote learning plan, or upload a school district approved remote learning plan. Recruit and retain qualified staff. So we want to go over the information on staff qualifications. The PHLpreK credentials are aligned with the state's career pathway. So for this chart, we'll start on the left. Any childcare center director, administrator, lead teacher, they must have a minimum of a level B on the career pathway. And this also applies to owner or operators of family providers and they act as a lead teacher. Assistant teachers will need to have a minimum of a level A or above. Now the right side of the chart, staff must meet one of the qualifications on this level to be satisfactory. As a level A, you'll need to obtain one of the following. either hold a current child development associate, a CDA certificate from the Council of Professional Recognition, a current school age credential, or 9 early childhood education credits. As a level B, you'll need to either have an Associate of Arts, Associate of Science, a Bachelor of Arts, or a Bachelor of Science, and 18 ECE credits if that degree is approved in the related field. Otherwise, you'll need 30 ECE credits if the degree is said to not be related. Level B does also include elementary education degree with 12 ECE credits. In addition to all the educational requirements, your staff will also need to meet the DHS regulations as well.
Okay, so on to staff qualification waivers. So this is for a director, lead teacher, and assistant teacher. This also applies to the lead teacher position for family childcare in the case where family childcare owner operator does not serve as the full-time lead teacher. Individuals applying for waivers must also meet the following to be considered for approval. So they need to have a verified career pathway level of Rising Level A that's verified by the PA key. Be enrolled to maintain the required EC credits or CDA certificate. So if they're not enrolled, they must be enrolled no later than January 31st, 2025. And evidence of enrollment in the education program must be uploaded to the PD registry. So if you're applying for the assistant teacher waiver, individuals must attain a CDA or 9 EC credits within 1 year. The individual needs to meet DHS requirements for the position they're holding as well. And then status of enrollment will be reviewed in January, and individuals may have their waiver rescinded if they don't meet the education requirements that they enrolled in a program. So there was one small change as well this year. So individuals that have completed coursework towards their CDA, but have not completed the portfolio or assessment components toward obtaining a CDA may qualify for a waiver. These individuals must demonstrate evidence that they are in a CDA completion program or have applied for assessment. And individuals may have an action plan with the Spark QSC to work on the portfolio and assessment completion. Individuals who had an approved waiver in prior program years and who have not completed the requirements prior to September 1st, 2024 will need to reply to demonstrate they're still actively engaged in attaining the credentials. For temporary exemptions, so individuals who do not meet the minimum career pathway level but meet the following criteria will not have to complete a staff qualifications waiver application, and they will qualify for the temporary exemption for this coming program year. And they will be considered compliant. These individuals should have a plan in place to attain the required EC credits though. So for a director administrator, family child care owner operator, or lead teacher. So these are individuals with a degree of AA or higher in a related field with fewer than 18 EC credits and were employed at the PHLpreK legal entity prior to July 1st, 2022. And for assistant teachers, this is an individual with at least 6 EC credits, but fewer than 9 EC credits who were employed at the legal entity prior to July 1st, 2022. Okay, now we'll talk through some resources and next steps.
All right, thank you. So PHMC will be holding the following virtual office hours to assist you as providers with contract exhibits, your required policies that you have to construct. If you have any questions with wagers, online submissions, these links will be available to you again in the weekly provider update for Wednesday, July 10th. Wednesday, July 17th, as well as Wednesday, July 24th. And there is no registration required for any of these dates. Contacting PHLpreK intermediary. So if you, as a provider, if you have any questions or inquiries please feel free to reach out. The PHLpreK inbox, it's here on the screen. Again, it's PHLpreK@phmc.org. And we will be sending out these PowerPoint slides later for you to have access as well. So now we'll turn it back over to Spark.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Aaliyah Brown. I am one of the coaching managers for Spark Quality Support Center. And I'm just here to tell you a little bit about the support that our Philly Pre-K coaches can provide for you. So if a referral is made, a Philly Pre-K coach can and will review specific policies to provide feedback, recommendations, and suggestions. We share resources from and assist with understanding guidelines of the OCDL for guidance for prevention of suspension and expulsion, and also for the School District of Philadelphia's kindergarten timeline. The coaches are also here to support community events about enrollment and also to answer any questions any of you guys may have about any of the exhibits that have to be turned in. Thank you.
It's Leah. And again, Spark Quality Support Center, we have a team of specialists who develop and provide professional development opportunities all throughout the year. And so during this upcoming month of July, we do have professional development opportunities that are available to support in completing or in guidance of your contract exhibits. Really, our hope is that we're providing information and strategies for you to keep in mind when not only developing your contract exhibits. Our hope is that we're thinking about putting those systems and policies into practice. So we will be reinforcing the PHLpreK contract expectations while also offering critical information drawn from evidence-based research and best practices from the ECE landscape. So some topics we have coming up, such as in business, we have as early as next week, actually, we have topics like ultimate guide to onboarding new staff or strategies to marketing your business. We have topics in family community engagement, like building stronger partnerships with families or how to recruit and retain families. And also, since we recognize that social emotional development has become super critical since the start of the pandemic, we've continued to offer those topics like mindfulness for children and caregivers and how to foster social emotional skills through storytelling. And we recently just added new training offerings provided by the Education Law Center, really to understand education laws and inclusive practices, especially as we're thinking about mitigating suspension expulsions in our programs. Soon we'll be releasing new information. In addition to our live trainings, we'll be releasing new information about on-demand trainings or online courses that will be available through the Pennsylvania Key so that you're able to also participate in additional learning opportunities on your schedule, on your time. Some topics that we will be releasing are topics like best practices for writing policies, procedures, elements of budgeting, and marketing strategies to grow your business. And again, as I mentioned before, our Knowledge Center and Help Desk support are both available for you to access resources or to get any further guidance on where to go. And again, we do work hand in hand with our coaches team to support them with any other specialized consulting that we can offer. And coming soon, if you haven't heard from us yet, you will be hearing from us very soon. What you can expect from Spark Quality Support Center, you will be receiving a welcome letter from your PHLpreK coach, just for them to introduce themselves and also share the Quality Support Center's efforts with you. We also will be releasing a intake or interest survey. And this survey is super critical for us to understand what quality supports you need, along with identifying the strengths and assets that all of you have. So when that is shared with you, we really encourage all of you to really take maybe 10 to 15 minutes to complete it so that we can fully understand what areas of supports you need, also what areas of strengths and assets that you are very confident in. And lastly, we are in the process of offering a PHLpreK teacher orientation during the week of August 19th. It's a partnered initiative with OCF and other organizations from the Philadelphia area. As more details gets confirmed, we hope to send that out. We're really excited to really think about how do we support our teachers and really creating classrooms that are successful and centered on our young learners. And here is just a visual if you haven't seen our Knowledge Center, and I'll drop a link of our Knowledge Center in the chat. Again, this is our Knowledge Center, our online library of information and resources. At the very top, when you go to it, you'll see these header links different links that can direct you to different parts of the website, whether it's our knowledge center, the coaching, the events calendar, along with our help desk at the very bottom, or when you scroll down to the of the knowledge center, it's our search bar, and there you could just put some few hot keywords, and then it will populate a list of resources available. And also at the very bottom of our webpage, you'll see that's where you can find our help desk chat feature. So that's where you can just click that button and type away, and a person on the other end will be responding to you. And here, I'm going to keep this on the screen just for a bit. This is a GIF or a movable image. It shows you how, when you access our events calendar, a step-by-step of what it takes, what's needed to register for any of our professional development opportunities. Our hope is that we actually want to streamline and make registration easier. So with our events calendar, whenever you click any of those professional development opportunities, you'll be redirected to an events page. And from there, you will begin the registration process by entering your email. If your email and your information is already within our account system, it'll actually pre-populate your information right into that registration form. And all you have to do is double check it and make sure the information is correct. Otherwise, if you're not in our account system, you would just simply enter your information manually, and it'll be saved for the future so that you don't have to do that again. We hope that this is an easier process to participate in our training opportunities and to get that those information right away. And then for any further information, I shared earlier our website, and then this is also our help desk phone number and their email and the hours they're available. Again, as Carrie mentioned, this will be shared to all of you following this session in the weekly update. In addition, in those weekly PHMC updates is also where we do share the registration links for our upcoming training. So if you don't know what's coming up or you need somewhere to find all the information you need, please read that weekly update thoroughly so you can see all the opportunities that's available for all of you to participate in.
Someone is asking about the in-classroom support from coaches. If you could speak to that. Or Leah, if she's available.
Sure, I'm available, yeah. So the support for the classrooms will be based on whatever the provider has asked of us. So whether it is room arrangement, TSG support, or breaking down the creative curriculum, we do unboxing, in-person trainings. But if there is a specific topic that you would like, you could reach out to the Quality Support Center and look at our trainings. If there's a training that's there that you need that you don't see, if you let your coach know, then we can tweak and provide whatever kind of training you're looking for. We do observations using our Fidelity tool. We have a lot of tools in our toolbox. So whatever it is that you guys are looking for in terms of support, we will be able to provide, or if we don't give it directly, we'll be able to give whatever resources you need to find the support that you're looking for.
And definitely will echo Damaris. I'm right there with you. We definitely want to make sure our training and coaching go hand in hand. Our trainings really emphasize on knowledge and skill competencies, and our coaching is opportunities to really follow up and follow through with that. And otherwise, it's a cyclical process of quality supports that we really would hope to engage with all of you.
Thanks, Spark folks. So someone had a question about the staff qualifications again. If we could quickly go back to that slide. Yep, right here. Okay, so the PHLpreK staff qualifications for a director administrator, family childcare owner operator, and a lead teacher is a level B. So you'll see on the right-hand side of the screen, that's the PA career pathway level, and what a level B just needs to include one of those bullets. So they could either have a regionally accredited ECE focused ASB or AST, an associate's in ECE, an associate's or bachelor's in a related field and 18 EC credits, an associate's or bachelor's in an unrelated field and 30 EC credits, or have an elementary ed degree with 12 ECE credits. All right, okay, so I think we are about to round out the session. So just a reminder, Brittany will go over some of the dates.
All right, so next steps, what, when, and where. We know a plethora of information was conveyed over this training session. So this is just to remind you of the important date, July 30th. Your exhibits as well as your required policies and other documents will be due July 30th. Through the online submission of form, open water, as well as your learning plan. And this is for, remote learning plan. This is for all providers. That will also be due July 30th. Your curriculum assessment developmental screening waiver, if applicable, also due July 30th. And your staff qualifications waiver due July 30th. And throughout, as you hire new staff, if a waiver is needed for them as well. And the last thing is the contact information. Also due July 30th. However, we want to make sure that you are using that form throughout the whole year. If there's any staff turnover, or even if there's a point of contact that you prefer, just to make sure that that contact is on that form, because that's going to be our point of contact to getting you any information, from us, or, vice versa.
Want to write it on one of them.
We'll take the time again for more questions.
$81.
Will you be able to start the application or the online submission in open water today? Yes, please go ahead and start your exhibits, and required
After
policies,
the
other
first month,
documents
it-
immediately. Please do not wait. They are due on July 30th, but please do not wait until that day to submit everything. You can go ahead and get started right away. Submit as you move along. You don't have to wait till you have everything together to submit either. So you can start submitting, and then the specialist can start reviewing your documents immediately.
I did see a question about the dates for the office hours. So I'm gonna go back to those dates. Oh, there we go.
Yep, and so these two will be running in the weekly provider update, along with the recording, the slides, all the resources that we've shared here. And then also you can those links to those office hours. And you don't need to register for them. You can just go ahead and join. Yep, so everything is going to be available in the weekly provider update. And for any new providers on that, we will be adding you to that distribution list as well. All right, well, that's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for joining. We hope it was helpful. And so go ahead and get started on those things. Let us know, let the PHLpreK, you can email PHLpreK@phmc.org, or also reach out to your specialist with any questions. Okay, thank you.